I just completed my Torah portion. The Torah is the sacred book of the Jewish people, much like the Quran for the Muslims or the New Testament for the Christians. So basically how it works is the same portion is read by Jews all over the world every week, and then it'll switch to a new portion each week. And then we are able to cycle through the entire 5 books of the Torah over the course of the year, and then we start over again, because there's always new things to learn, there's always new ways it'll apply to your life, and maybe we weren't paying enough attention the last time around. So the Torah portion is called Shalach Lecha in Hebrew, send for yourself in English. At this point in their story, the Jews had recently escaped from slavery in Egypt and were ready to cross over into the Promised Land. In Shalach Lecha, Moses commanded 12 people to go take a look at the new land. He wanted to know more about the neighborhood before he just moved in. He wondered, is the soil rich or sparse? Is the land inhabited or empty? Are the people strong or weak? And just, is it a good place to live? So 12 spies were sent out, and after 40 days, they returned with some good news and some bad news. Okay, so which one do you want to hear first, the good news or the bad news? You want to hear the bad news? Oh, okay. Well, so the natives were tall and strong, and the city walls were way too high to climb or break, and all but 2 of the spies said that giants live there and that children of Israel have no chance of winning. We seem like grasshoppers, and our own eyes may look the same to them. That's basically the part of the last line of my Torah portion in English. So, yeah. And then the good news is that the land was very fruitful. They brought back some very nice pomegranates and figs and a cluster of very tasty grapes that was so big it took 2 men to carry. But 2 of the spies, actually Joshua and his good friend Caleb, had faith in God and said, let's give it a try. We have God on our side. That's a pretty big advantage. So, but the people took the advice of the 10 other spies, and they got really upset and started crying, and absolute chaos broke out. So God decided not to have that generation enter the Promised Land, and he made them wander in the desert for 40 years to let the generation cycle over until the next generation of Jews were ready for the Promised Land. And only Joshua and Caleb, the 2 spies who reported positively, actually lived to see the Promised Land. Sometimes I wonder, if God knows everything, why did the Jews need to scout out the land in the first place? Maybe Moses told the people to look without the advice of God. I know any smart person would want to know what they're dealing with before they just go all out and invade. It was a smart idea, but in the end, as we all know, it didn't really help them. The Jews of this time were still slaves in their minds. They had fear inside themselves. They didn't win because they didn't believe they could win. As I said earlier, the direct translation of Shalach Lecha isn't look for the new land. It's look for yourself. God was sending the spies in to learn about themselves. Maybe God also wanted to test them. 40 years later, Joshua sent spies from the new generation. Reports were more confident. The natives of Canaan were exactly the same, but it was the Jews who had changed. They were ready for the challenge, and so the next generation successfully entered the Promised Land. So when I try to think back to a time where this applied to me, one thing immediately comes to mind. I know all my friends are completely sick of hearing about baseball, but here it goes. When I was in 5th grade, my baseball skills completely dropped off. I was so bad. I struck out almost every time, and I got really upset when we lost, which was frequent. At one point, I basically completely stopped swinging the bat. I was eventually told to bunt, and then I even held back on that. I was benched in our last game, and we lost, and just like that, our season was over. So coming off the bench that day, I told myself, done, no more baseball, Jonas. But, however, in 6th grade, I grew a few inches. I decided to play one more year. I was assigned a new team, a new coach, and new players. Some of whom I knew, some I didn't. Coming onto my 12-year-old year, I had renewed confidence. I realized if you're so afraid of making mistakes, you'll never try, and you'll never succeed. We lost our first game, and I struck out twice and didn't pitch very well, but it's one game. We didn't get discouraged. We had confidence. So we went for it. We won our next 11 games and then swept the finals. Along the way, I hit 4 home runs, barely struck out, and pitched very well. It's all a matter of confidence over effort. Well, effort's very important too, but confidence is it's a big part too. One of my mom's students once said, "God provides enough worms for every bird, but he doesn't just put them in the nest." So, now it's your turn. You guys, I'll talk to somebody and talk about a time where this applies to you. When have you let your fear prevent you from moving forward? And how can you address this problem? I'll give you like about 5 minutes, and then anybody who wants to share can share. So.
The thing that was really hard for me was bike riding. For years, I couldn't bike ride. Well, when my sister and my cousins and my friends were all bike riding, since they had their own bikes, they all just got to like have fun and go ahead. But since I was like on this thing called like a tag along that's like connected to somebody else's bike, I had to stay behind. It was really boring and I couldn't have any fun. Then finally, this year, just a few weeks ago, when my uncle came, he thought of teaching me to bike ride. So he did all these things, and finally, the day before him leaving, I got it. I got it. Finally. And then I wondered, why hadn't I been doing this all these years before? It's too easy. Why didn't I wait until now to do it? It was a really long time till I learned that it's really fun now. And I'm really looking forward to bike riding more.
Thank you so much, Cedric.
For a long time, I wanted to get into medical school, and I really tried hard. And I went to college, and I got very good grades. But I just couldn't do it. And I tried hard and did everything I was supposed to do, and I applied, and they turned me down. But I tried again. And it was like, once you fall off a bike, it's easy to get back on the bike. So I got back on the bike and applied again, and I got accepted. So now I'm a doctor.
I had a choice in my life. How many years ago? The year 2000, I guess. About 2000. Alia, my wife, was living in San Diego. I was in Boston. And we started having a long-distance relationship. And I had to make a decision at one point. Did I have the confidence and trust and the faith that this relationship would work? To go to San Diego and to be with Alia. I had no job, I had no house other than Alia's home at the time, and she took me in, and it was a leap of faith, and it paid off.
Thank you everyone for sharing. So the next part of my speech is about my Mitzvah project. Part of becoming an adult in the Jewish community is choosing an issue that I feel strongly about and taking action in it to make the world a better place. This is called Tikkun Olam, which means healing the world. As many of you know, my project is about hunger. I chose my project to be on hunger because it is a very, very important issue today, more than most people realize. I always feel so guilty seeing hungry people on the streets and just walking by, completely neglecting them. I wanted to learn more about the issue. After seeing the documentary, A Place at the Table, I realized just how lucky we are. 1 out of 6 people in the USA is hungry. This leaps all the way up to a little bit more than 1 in 4 people in families with children. Over the last 3 months, I've been volunteering at 2 different soup kitchens. I will continue this project into the summer. I also participated in the Walk for Hunger last week, walking 20 miles with my family, and Henry and Andy. There's Andy and there's Henry, which was really fun. And with between all your donations, I've reached about $1,500. So let's have a round of applause. Even though my legs didn't really work at the end of the day, and Henry was laughing at me because I looked stupid because I only was able to put one shoe on, it was still really fun, and it was for a great cause, so that was a great part of my project. In Pirkei Avot, which is part of the Talmud, which is sort of a second Jewish holy book, it says, basically a rough translation in English today, you don't have the responsibility to end the issue on your own, but you can't just stick your head in the sand and ignore it either. So I didn't completely eradicate hunger on my own, but I didn't ignore it either. Although some might argue with me, I think the biggest part of being Jewish is doing small acts every day to make the world a better place. Whether it's just like saying hello and smiling, or giving $1 to a homeless man on the streets, or helping up a fallen opponent on the soccer field, or volunteering at a soup kitchen, it all makes a difference, no matter how small. You don't have to eradicate world hunger, end all the wars, and get clean water for the entire world. If everybody loves and helps in a small way, the world will be healed. So, before I end, I will do thank yous. It's probably gonna be a while, so if you hear any like music playing and I get kicked off the stage, like the Academy Awards, I feel like that's gonna happen. Okay, so first one is Ephraim. Huge thank you. When I first started studying with you, I was nervous. I didn't know, I knew hardly anything about being Jewish. I rarely had gone to temple and still rarely do. I had never read Hebrew. I didn't know how, had no idea how. And I was just really afraid that I was going to do something stupid. So I walk in the door that day, and he goes, hey. And then I'm like, hello. And he's like, today I'm going to show you how to make a dog out of a balloon. You know, like those clown balloons? So that was our first lesson. Other great memories include getting clawed to death by his overly friendly cat, Mr. Wiggins. Watching the bottom of the 9th inning at a Red Sox game in his basement. Yeah, one day I came over, and he was like, Jonas, you look nervous. And I'm like, yeah, I was listening to the game on the way over. And it's the Red Sox. They're down by 1 run in the bottom of the 9th. And then he was like, oh, come on, let's go watch it. We also played a lot of Frisbee golf on his lawn if we were late or we had finished all the stuff that we need to do for the day. And of course, I've all the knowledge that I had gained, not just about Judaism, but about life. I've had so much fun learning with you over the past year and a half. Thank you for all the great stories and lessons you've given me. It'll definitely stick with me for the rest of my life. Okay. I'm going to big thank you to Mrs. Hopkins for you've taught me so much over the past 5 years, not only about school, but about life and how to face its many challenges. You always have a positive outlook on life, and you have so much to give to all of us. And I really just couldn't have asked for a better teacher. So, thank you. Jennifer Allen, she's my great cello teacher. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, but I'm definitely thinking of her. She gives me the desire to keep playing and improving on the cello and makes playing an everyday joy for me. Grandpa Herb and Grandma B, big thank you for keeping me up on politics. You have told me so many interesting, great stories about your lifetime and before and other family stories. And I bet I've talked to one or the other of you on the phone at least once a week for the past 4 or 5 years, like consistently every week. And giving me the latest from the Wild West, Denver. So, Pop-Up and Grandma Ann, huge thank you. Pop-Up for getting me into golf. And even though you guys are a pretty long drive away, you come to a lot of my baseball games and cello concerts, and you're just a really big part of my life. and I have such a great time with you and all the whole Bucciarelli family in the summers on Cape Cod and at Christmas time in Belmont. So I love you guys. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank my mother and my father because they're just awesome. And they drive me everywhere and they pay for everything. And they just set such, you two set such great examples in life for me. And you've raised me well. So, a big thank you to my lovely sister, Sophie. You're always so much fun, and you're a great sister to me. Whenever there's like a social issue that comes around, I go straight to you. Like, you never fail to help me end the problem. Like, you're always there to help me, and you've just helped me so much over the years. I'd like to thank my brother Brett, who unfortunately he can't be here today because he lives in California. But he's just a great guy to look up to, and over the years, even though he's much older, I remember he's always been setting great examples with his work ethic, like especially in music. For like, I didn't always practice the cello every single day, and he's like gotten me into that a lot more, and also in school, like getting my homework done. Henry and Andy for doing the Walk for Hunger with me and being awesome and great friends and great people, and just being fellow Jews, so that I'm not like yeah, because like I've been sort of doing my mitzvah projects with Henry, and just everybody, thank you for coming out and helping me celebrate. It's really great, such a great crowd, and all my friends from school and all my friends not from school, because you're just awesome and you're such great people and so awesome. So I'm saying awesome too much. No, it's okay. It's still awesome. But that's right, people. So, and you guys are all just so much fun to be around. So, yeah. And the guy from Men's Warehouse, he was really, really helpful. He like helped me pick out this suit, and he was so good. And he really knew his stuff. So, I think the Academy Award music is playing now. So, I'm just about done. Caleb, you be careful. All right, come and get it.
I need to get my... Oh!
I